in front of millions watching live. One of Hollywood's most beloved stars did the unthinkable. He stood up, mid-interview, and walked out on Oprah Winfrey. No argument. No words. Just silence. And in that silence, his entire career seemed to crumble. Everyone thought it was the end. But what if it was the beginning of something far greater? This is the story of the moment Hollywood tried to break Keanu Reeves, and how he walked away stronger than ever. The lights of the studio were blinding, the applause deafening. Cameras moved like predators, circling for the perfect angle. On the couch sat Keanu Reeves, calm as ever, his black suit crisp, his voice gentle. Oprah leaned forward with that familiar, confident smile, the kind that could make or break a celebrity in a single afternoon. At first, it was light. Questions about his latest film, about fame, about the adoration that followed him everywhere. Keanu answered softly, his tone measured, his words humble. But then, Oprah asked something else. Something raw. Something that reached beyond the actor, into the man who had lost so much. The room changed. The air thickened. The audience waited for an emotional confession, a tear, a headline moment. But Keanu didn't give them what they wanted. He paused, looked down for a moment, then looked back up, with eyes that said more than words ever could. He smiled, barely. Then he stood up. Slowly, deliberately. The chair creaked as he stepped away from it. The cameras followed, confused. Oprah called his name once, then again. He didn't turn back. The audience gasped. Some thought it was part of the show. Others knew it wasn't. He reached the edge of the stage, nodded to no one in particular, and walked off. No anger. No drama. Just quiet resolve. That silence echoed louder than any scandal. In that moment, Hollywood's golden boy did the one thing no one dared to do. He walked away from the machine. By the time the commercial break hit, the headlines were already writing themselves. Producers were panicking. The internet was exploding. And somewhere in the chaos, Keanu Reeves was simply gone. Not defeated. Not broken. Just done pretending. Long before the cameras, before the myth of the man who walked out, Keanu Reeves was just another kid chasing something bigger than himself. He was born far from Hollywood's glow, in Beirut, raised between continents, drifting through schools and cities like a soul searching for home. His childhood wasn't glamorous. It was fractured, restless, uncertain. But through every shift, one thing stayed constant, that quiet fire inside him. In Toronto, he found the stage. Acting wasn't about fame for him. It was escape, expression, freedom. He didn't crave the spotlight. He wanted the story. And when he spoke, when he moved, there was something different. A strange mix of stillness and storm. The early years were rough. Small roles. Cheap motels. Long nights rehearsing lines no one would hear. But then came Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. A goofy, electric film that accidentally turned him into a cultural symbol. Hollywood laughed, but the audience didn't. They loved him. There was something pure about his awkward honesty, something real beneath the surfer slang. Then came Point Break. Then Speed. Keanu Reeves, the kid with no connections, became the face of a generation that craved authenticity. The stunts, the fire, the intensity, it wasn't just acting. He gave everything, every take, like it was the last. But with fame came the machine. Interviews, rumors, labels. Hollywood wanted him to be loud, charming, predictable. He stayed quiet, grounded, often misunderstood. They called him distant, mysterious, strange. What they didn't see was a man trying to stay human in a world built on performance. He gave his money away, rode the subway, listened more than he spoke. Keanu Reeves was rising, but not like everyone else. He wasn't chasing the crown. He was trying not to lose his soul. It was supposed to be a celebration. Another day, another interview. A polished stage, bright lights, and the ever-smiling Oprah Winfrey waiting across from him. The audience was alive with energy, ready to adore the Hollywood star they thought they knew. Keanu walked in quietly, his posture calm, his eyes gentle but distant. He greeted everyone, thanked the crew, and took his seat. The early moments were effortless. They laughed about fame, about his calm nature, about how he seemed untouched by the madness of celebrity life. Oprah, as always, knew how to dig deeper. She wanted to find the story beneath the silence. She leaned in, her tone soft but piercing. "Keanu," she said, "you've lost people close to you. How do you deal with that pain?" The room froze. The air shifted. The crowd waited, sensing something fragile in the air. He didn't answer immediately. He looked down, took a breath, and for a moment, it felt like he might open up completely. But instead of words, there was only stillness. When he finally looked up, there was no anger, only truth in his eyes. "Some things," he said quietly, "don't need to be talked about." The audience didn't know how to react. Oprah tried again, her instinct pushing for that emotional headline moment. But Keanu had already withdrawn. His smile faded, his body language turned inward. Then, without a word, he stood. The creak of the chair was the only sound in the room. He nodded politely and walked off the stage. The cameras didn't know whether to cut. The crew froze. Oprah looked stunned. In that brief, unforgettable moment, the world saw something raw, an actor refusing to perform, a man setting a boundary on live television. It was quiet rebellion, broadcast to millions. The moment Keanu walked off that stage, the world erupted. Within hours, clips of the walkout flooded television screens and gossip sites. Headlines screamed betrayal, arrogance, and breakdown. Keanu snaps on live TV. Hollywood's nice guy loses it. Everyone had a theory, but no one had the truth. The same industry that once adored his humility now dissected his silence like it was a crime. His phone stopped ringing. Studios grew cautious. Publicists whispered about unpredictability, about risk. In an industry that feeds on control, Keanu Reeves had become an enigma, and that scared people. He wasn't playing the game anymore. He wasn't selling his pain for applause. And Hollywood didn't know how to handle that. For a while, he disappeared. No talk shows. No red carpets. No statements. The media filled the silence with fiction. They said he was spiraling, hiding, broken. But the truth was simpler. He was breathing again. While others chased relevance, Keanu was riding through the city on his motorcycle, alone, helmet hiding his face. He read philosophy, spent time with street kids, donated quietly to hospitals without attaching his name. He stopped trying to prove anything. It was exile by choice, a retreat into something real. Away from the noise, he found peace in being forgotten. The tabloids couldn't understand it, how someone could walk away at the peak of fame and not come running back. But those who really watched him closely noticed something different. His eyes, once heavy, now looked lighter. His smile wasn't for cameras anymore, it was for himself. The world thought he was finished. But in that stillness, Keanu Reeves wasn't falling. He was resetting, preparing for a return no one would see coming. Years passed in quiet shadows. Hollywood had moved on to newer faces, louder personalities, bigger egos. But somewhere, far from the noise, Keanu Reeves was rebuilding, not his career, but himself. He worked in silence, training, reading, thinking. He wasn't chasing scripts. He was waiting for one that meant something. Then it came. A story about reality, illusion, and awakening. The Matrix. When the offer arrived, it felt poetic. A man trapped in a false world, learning to see the truth. It wasn't just a movie, it was his mirror. On set, Keanu wasn't a superstar. He was one of the crew. He carried equipment, shared lunches, thanked everyone by name. The stunt team still talks about how he trained for months, performing most of his own fights, not to impress anyone, but because he respected the craft. When the studio cut bonuses for the effects team, Keanu handed over a portion of his salary. No press release, no announcement, just quiet generosity. When The Matrix hit theaters, it changed cinema forever. Audiences didn't just watch Neo break the system. They saw Keanu rise from the ashes. The man they thought had ruined his career was now redefining what it meant to be a star. He didn't need scandal, arrogance, or noise. His power was in his silence, in his authenticity. Reporters tried to drag him back into gossip, but he never bit. He smiled, deflected, and returned to work. To him, fame was temporary. Humanity wasn't. Keanu's comeback wasn't loud. It was graceful, steady, real. The walkout that once symbolized defiance had become a symbol of integrity. The world began to see what he'd always known: some things you lose to find yourself. And Keanu Reeves had finally found peace within the chaos. Time has a way of softening stories, but Keanu Reeves' legend only grew sharper. The man once branded unpredictable became the very definition of grace. He had every reason to chase revenge, to prove people wrong, but he never did. He just kept moving forward, quietly, consistently, with the kind of calm that can't be faked. Hollywood eventually learned to respect what it couldn't control. Directors spoke about his humility, fans about his kindness. Viral moments showed him giving up his subway seat, standing in the rain to sign autographs, mourning privately, smiling genuinely. No entourage. No performance. Just Keanu, unshakably human in a world addicted to illusion. When asked about fame, he often said, "It's fleeting. What matters is what you give." Those weren't words crafted for headlines, they were his truth. Behind every role, every moment on screen, there was a man who had already seen the cost of pretending. The walkout that once seemed like a scandal now felt like a prophecy. He wasn't walking away from Oprah. He was walking away from expectation, from exploitation, from everything that demanded he be something other than himself. That simple act of standing up became one of the most powerful statements in modern celebrity, a declaration of self-respect in a world built on approval. Years later, people still talk about it. Not as a mistake, but as a moment of courage. Because in the end, Keanu Reeves didn't just rebuild his career, he redefined what it means to survive fame with soul intact. He taught the world that silence can be strength, that humility can be rebellion, that kindness can be armor. He walked out once, and in doing so, he walked into legend. If this story moved you, don't just let it end here. Take a moment to think about what it means to walk away from what doesn't serve your soul. Keanu's journey isn't just about fame, it's about courage, truth, and the power of silence in a world that never stops talking. If you believe more people need to hear stories like this, about integrity, resilience, and humanity, hit that like button, share this video, and subscribe for more cinematic stories that reveal the real faces behind the fame. Drop a comment below. What does walking away mean to you? Because sometimes, the bravest thing you can do is simply stand up and walk out.